Welcome to episode 143 of the Routine Advantage podcast. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Renae Matt, and here we help overwhelmed women get organized by putting specific routines in place that help you feel really prepared and actually free up more time in your life. And one thing that actually holds people back sometimes is that word routine because it feels too structured or it feels too rigid when you are already overwhelmed. And that is one thing I am hoping to change with this podcast because routines, if they are done right, they can be so helpful because they actually help you create the structure. But by creating that structure and creating them the right way, will actually free up more time in your day. Because if they're done properly, they are going to actually create a lot more space in your day while also getting a lot more done. So you're not falling behind, but you are actually feeling like you are freer. And that's the goal with these routines. So, one question I have for you is if you ever go to bed at night feeling stressed and worrying about everything that you need to do the next day before that day even begins. When we have all of these thoughts swirling in our head, it can keep us up at night and get us some really not restful sleep. So, one way to tackle this is to make sure that we are planning ahead and to start to put specific routines in place that will help us feel organized and prepared so that we can stop worrying and actually get a restful night's sleep. So, today I'm actually sharing 4 evening routines that you may want to think about putting in place so that you can reduce that stress, stop worrying, increase your relaxation, and just sleep better.
Are you ready to stop the chaos, the stress, the overwhelm that's filling your life? I'm Renae Matt, and together you and I are going to build simple routines that are going to change your life. When you put these habits into practice, you're going to be able to organize your life in a way where you can be there for your family, pay off your debt, save money, your house can stay organized, you don't have to stress about what's for dinner, and you still get time for yourself. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome to the Routine Advantage podcast.
I still remember the stress of how I would go to bed before I really implemented the routines that are in my life today. And if you are new here, I do talk about 5 foundational routines. And I think these are incredibly important for pretty much everyone, that you have to have a specific routine in place as your default in order to have these really efficient and done well so that you can feel more organized. And those 5 are your morning routine, your meal planning routine, your daily 7 home routine, your movement routine, and your budget routine. And so those apply to pretty much everybody in the world. If you are an adult, you need these 5 routines. And there are other routines that are also very beneficial in our lives. And those are different routines that you can decide what works best for you, where you need a routine. But the goal of creating routines is to not create this rigid, like structured day where you have to stick to it, and if it goes off course, then you're just basically screwed. That is not the case. We want to create these routines so that we have a default, we have a go-to, so that we can get these things done in an efficient time frame, and it's condensed so that it works really really well to get done quickly. We don't forget about things, and then we can move on. So we're actually, instead of feeling chaotic and we're like trying to get something done, and then 30 minutes later we remember something else needs to be done, and then it's like, oh yeah, we still need to do that. Oh, now I need to find shoes, all these different things. If you condense it into a simple routine, you take care of a lot of things at once, you don't have to worry about it, and then it actually like makes you feel more like spacious. You have more space to do things you enjoy and not just tasks. So when we are looking at trying to sleep better and try and go to bed without stressing about everything else, we want to kind of take a look at why we're stressing about everything else. Like, what is the cause of worrying about everything that needs to happen the next day? And one of those things that can help with this is to plan ahead. And one great way to plan ahead is to get routines implemented that will help you take care of the things that are kind of floating around in your mind all the time. So I have four that I wrote down when I was thinking about this, like what could help somebody that's really like just not resting well because there's just so much going on in your head. You have a lot of responsibilities, you have a lot of tasks, you have a lot of things you need to take care of. Like, what are some things that could help you? And I came up with four routines that I actually do. I think I do pretty much all of these. So I'll kind of walk you through what I do. But basically, it's just understanding that if a routine isn't working for you, you can test it out and then just tweak it to work for what you need. So just because I'm talking about this doesn't mean that this is what yours needs to look like. You can create a routine that works for you. The main thing you want to look at is to just see if it's actually helping or if it's stressing you out more because you want a routine to be beneficial and you want it to be short. So, a routine should not need to be like an hour or 2 hours long. It should be very short and concise so that you can get it done quickly and then just continue to move on with your day. So, we're going to go through those four routines that you can begin to implement so that you can stop worrying and start to relax more at night. So, number one is your daily review routine. This is where you are going to look at your day. You want to look at what you accomplished. You want to look at all the tasks you completed. You can check them off if you have something that you need to check them off. But then you're also looking that if something didn't get done, decide when you're going to do it later. Do you need to do it the next day? Do you need to do it later in the week? Does it need to go to next week? When are you actually going to accomplish that? Because one thing that can be a really big struggle is that if we didn't get everything done, it just rolls into the next day. And then all of a sudden, that to do list just grows and grows and grows and grows. And I just did a recent episode about getting rid of the generic to do list. So if you're struggling with this, go back and listen to that. But basically, this is a chance to just review your day, see what did happen, see what didn't happen, and then adjust. And you don't need to beat yourself up on why you didn't get things done, but just figure out when you're going to do those and reschedule it if you need to. If you can just get rid of it and be like, okay, I just don't need to do that anymore because something changed or whatever, then get it off your list. You do not need to stress about it. But if you are looking at it and it still needs to be done, and you take the time to just go and schedule it into a different day or decide when you're going to do it later, then you still don't have to stress about it because you have a plan to accomplish it later. This is very helpful. And then you don't really have that just hanging out in your mind all the rest of the day because you already created a plan for it and now you don't need to worry about it. When you're reviewing your day, this is also a good time to update any habit trackers that you're working on if you are tracking anything like that, or just making notes or journaling, doing whatever you need to do. Just having this really short routine to review the day and make adjustments where you need to. And this is also a really good time to kind of think about your day and think about what worked really well. So if something flowed really smoothly, or you felt really prepared, or if it didn't work well and you felt really stressed in a certain area, then these are good times to kind of ask why and like what could you shift to make it flow even smoother, or what could you make sure that you do the next day because it worked really well today. So, overall, this is just a really good time to do that day review, that daily review, and just ask yourself what you need to do to tweak it. So what worked well, what didn't, what do you need to schedule for a different time, what do you need to get rid of? And you're basically just recapping your day and moving on to the next day. And one last note about this daily review routine, if you are finding that you felt really stressed, but you don't really feel like you accomplished much, I do want you to take a look at your screen time. And this might not be the case for you, but for so many of us, we do not realize how much we are on our phones. So if you are feeling really stressed or you just feel like you had so much time today, you were going to accomplish a lot, but then just nothing got done, and you feel like you just didn't do as much as you wanted to do and you don't know where the time went, check that screen time because you might learn that you are spending way more time on your phone than you intend to or that you want to. And if you're not, that's great. And if you are okay spending that much time on your phone, then that is totally up to you. But if you're really struggling with this and you're not sure where the time is going, I want you to take a look at that and then just really analyze that. And then if it is higher than you want it to be, then focus on the next day, just reducing it and continue doing that. And over time, you will find that as your screen time goes down, your stress levels also go down and your productivity goes up. It is insane how much of a difference this makes for me. If I start feeling really stressed and kind of overwhelmed by things, and I feel like I'm just not doing what I want to be doing, and I look at my screen time, it's always just jacked up because I don't realize how much time it's actually taking and how much mental energy it's actually taking from me. So this is a really good review time to take a look at that and see if you're okay with the amount of screen time you have, or if you want to start working on making some adjustments there. All right. The second routine that I would like you to consider implementing is your dinner routine. Now, this is not just cooking your meal, but this is doing kind of the prep work before and the prep or the not the prep work after, but the like cleanup afterwards. So a lot of times if we're really stressed, there's a lot of us that go to bed with dirty dishes in the sink and then you wake up to dirty dishes in a messy kitchen and it's just oh, it's a lot. So, we want to be going to bed with a clean kitchen so that you can wake up to a clean kitchen. And putting a dinner routine in place is going to help a ton with this. So, what you might want to consider doing, and this is something that we do, and you're going to review your menu or your meal plan for the next couple of days. And this is going to allow you to figure out if you need to make some extra of what you're making. Maybe you're making extra chicken, maybe you're browning extra ground beef, maybe you are making extra potatoes or sweet potatoes for some, breakfast hash in the morning, like whatever it is, you're kind of looking ahead and seeing like, would it help to make more of what I'm making tonight? Because it doesn't take a whole lot of extra effort to just make a bigger batch of something and then have meals prepared for the next couple of days for leftovers or just certain specific ingredients for future meals, things like that. So that's what you're looking at. And then you're also looking at if you need to take anything out of the freezer so that it's thawed over the next couple of days. This little like habit of implementing this is going to just relieve so much stress because it's not that like where you get to the end of the day and you have to pull something out of the freezer and it is rock solid and you need to cook it that night. Like that will not be the case when you just implement this super quick habit that just takes a couple of minutes, maybe not even a couple of minutes. It takes like 30 seconds to look ahead and be like, okay, this is what I need to do. I need to make extra of this and I need to grab this out of the freezer. You're good. That's it. It's very quick. And then you also will want to start with an empty sink. So if the dishwasher needs to be unloaded before you get started, if you need to wash a few dishes from the afternoon, that is what you would like you should do before you begin cooking. So you're starting from a clean slate, you're starting with a clean kitchen because then you can actually fill your sink with hot soapy water and as you start to cook, wash your dishes as you go. This is going to take a ton of time from the after dinner cleanup because you won't have to wait for everything to just crust on there and then you have to scrub it off and all that mess. You don't have to deal with that. You can just wash them as you go and you can stay on top of the mess as it's being made. It doesn't really have time to take hold because you are keeping up with it as you go. And then once you do your meal and you sit down, you enjoy it, when you get up, you have so many less dishes because you're really just doing what the meal was in and what you used to actually eat because everything else is already cleaned up, right? So now all you have to do is go back into the kitchen and clean up those last few dishes and put away any leftovers. This is going to be so quick and it won't even feel like a chore really because it's just fast because you've pretty much already done all of it beforehand. And then you can do this as like your close the kitchen time. A lot of people will say they close the kitchen, and that's basically just meaning that you are resetting everything. So you're making sure that the dishes are done, the counters are wiped off, anything is put away that needs to be. You can do a quick sweep of the kitchen, and some people like to just shut off all the lights. We have like the under cabinet lighting. So we'll turn that on and then close or like turn off the overhead kitchen lights. So it's, just closed for the evening, and it makes it feel really cozy and nice. And then we know that it's ready to go in the morning because it's all reset and clean. It kind of reminds me of when I worked at a cafe when I was growing up. And like when you're closing, you would close the kitchen. So you would make sure everything was clean. You would make sure everything's put away. If it needs to be labeled in the fridge, you're doing all that. And then when you are done cleaning and getting everything reset, you turn out the lights. And that is just kind of what you're doing at home too. And it just becomes a habit to do this after meals. And you're going to do it without thinking about it. And then the third routine that I want you to consider is to do a next day prep routine. And you don't have to call them these things either. It's just having a default routine for these types of items. So this one might look something like just making sure you are prepared for the next day. And so it's kind of just running through this mental list of things to gather or get prepared ahead of time. So it might be setting up your coffee pot. It doesn't take long the next morning, but having it done ahead of time might just relieve some stress in the morning. It might be setting out your workout clothes and your shoes if you are doing a home workout or you're going to the gym. It might be setting out your outfit for the day and knowing exactly what you're planning on wearing, any jewelry that you're going to be wearing, how you want to do your hair, things like that. Just knowing what to do so that you don't have to think about that when you get up. Another thing might be making sure that anything for your morning routine is ready. So, if you have a journal or a Bible or highlighters or anything like that, just knowing where it is, having it set out so that you are ready to go in the morning when you get up for your morning routine. Any delays that we can eliminate is going to be the best way to go here. If you need to have lunches packed, this is a good time to do that the night before if you can, so then you're not stressing about packing lunches the morning of. This is also if you have kids, this is a good time to like get backpacks around, make sure that everybody knows where their shoes and their coats, their hats, their mittens, like we're in winter right now where we are in Minnesota. So, yeah, making sure all those things are ready and you know where they are, making sure any homework or permission slips are in their backpacks, things like that are ready to go so you don't have to stress about it the next day. So you don't have to worry about it when you're going to bed and you can sleep easy knowing that all these things are taken care of and you are prepped and ready to go for the next day. The fourth routine that you can consider doing is a bedtime routine. This does not have to be some elaborate bedtime routine. You can make this super simple, like a quick shower. I personally, like, I don't like washing my hair every day, but I still shower every day. So I actually do, like the shower cap. And I love just putting that on and then getting in the shower, washing all my makeup off and everything, and I feel really good. And then I slip into some cozy pajamas and I do very simple skincare and I just keep it super easy. But I pretty much do the same thing every night because I just have gotten used to it. I don't have to think about it so much. I know it's quick. And then I even go to bed in one of those silk bonnets because if I can keep my hair looking as good as possible for several days, then it eliminates the time for me to have to get ready the next morning. If I can just brush my hair out the next morning and we're good to go and my curls are intact and all the things. So it just makes it super easy when I have this simple routine that I just repeat every night. And then obviously it's a little bit different if it is a hair wash night, but the rest of my routine is pretty much looking the same. The other thing that you might wanna do in a bedtime routine is if you have any sort of wind down thing. So if you need to make a cup of tea, or you wanna read a book, or you wanna just snuggle on the couch and watch a show with your spouse, like things like that, you can make time for because you are prepared by implementing the other routines. Like you've got it all set to go. You can relax at night knowing that everything is taken care of. So one thing I would encourage you to do is if you are going to spend some time with your family at night, to put your phone away and put your laptop away. I know when especially like I have my business, my side business here, and I work full time. So any little pocket of the day that I can work is great because I need to get some things done. But I also need to make sure that I'm not filling every pocket of the day with my work. I need to be very intentional about what time I dedicate to doing my business stuff because still need to prioritize my time with my husband. So when I am watching a show with him or something, I do not take my laptop down to the couch anymore. I used to, and once I started implementing these routines and I started being really intentional about my work block times and things like that, I no longer need to bring my laptop down because I know exactly when I'm going to be working and what I need to do during those times, and I can actually just enjoy the evenings with him and focus my attention with him. And that has made such a big difference for me and my stress levels, but also just our relationship too, because he doesn't feel like I'm just constantly working and have my nose in my computer or my phone all the time because I'm very intentional about keeping it separated from the time that we have together. So, if you are struggling with that and you're always in your phone or your laptop working, especially if you're an entrepreneur or you work from home, that is just something to consider. Like, separate the two. And if you need to dedicate time, like, give yourself a little work block chunk and schedule that time in so you can, step away and work on those things. But then when you're with your family, you can leave those things behind and really just focus on the time with your family. You're going to feel so much better, and your family is going to feel better as well. So the things that we want to do is just creating a routine to kind of plug several things that are going to help us in order. And if you can stick to the same order of trying to accomplish these things, you're going to get faster because your routine is going to become more efficient. You're not going to have to think about it so much. And your family is also going to start to learn what to expect. So if you're doing a, next day prep routine, eventually your family's going to know, like, okay, we need to get all this stuff around. We need to, pull backpacks. We need to do all this stuff. It could take you like literally 10, 15 minutes to do all this stuff. And it's expected and it's done. And once it's done, it's just like part of your day. And then it's completed and you're good to go. You have everything prepped for the next day, and your morning is going to be so much smoother. So it's just getting these things into place and learning what works really well. If you put a routine into place and it's terrible and you absolutely hate it, it doesn't streamline anything. People are, going crazy about what you're asking them to do because it just doesn't make any sense and it's taking longer than it would without it, then you need to make some adjustments. That is not what a routine should be doing. We want to make it easier, not harder. So just kind of think about that and tweak things where you need to, and condense those habits into a routine that work well for you and things that apply to your life. It should help you feel more organized, not less organized. Okay, so a quick recap on those four routines to help you stop worrying and sleep better and feel prepared for the day ahead is: number one is to do a daily review routine. This is where you look at your day, you see everything that you have accomplished and everything you didn't accomplish, and schedule anything out that needs to be rescheduled if you didn't get it done. This is a good time also to update those habit trackers and then ask yourself what needs to change or what needs to stay to just continue making things better the next day. And this is also a good time to take a look at that screen time. Number two is your dinner routine. So you want to take a look at the next couple of days on your meal plan, see if you need to prep anything extra or make some extra servings or even take anything out of the freezer. This is also a good time to make sure you start with no dishes and then fill that sink up with soapy water and wash as you go, and then reset and close the kitchen after dinner. The routine number 3 is to have a next day prep routine to just prepare for the next day. This is setting up your coffee if you need to, setting out workout clothes, getting your outfit out and ready, any morning routine supplies that you need to have prepped, any lunches that need to be packed, kids' backpacks, homework, permission slips, things like that. And then the fourth routine is your bedtime routine, having something simple and default that you can go to just relax before you go to bed at night and help you to wind down. So, this might be a shower, simple skincare, getting into those cozy pajamas, making some tea, reading a book, snuggling on the couch, and then try to put your phone or laptop away so you can actually enjoy this time. So, I hope you enjoyed that episode. I hope it gave you some inspiration and some things to think about as you are building your own routines in your life, especially outside of those 5 foundational ones. You want to kind of see what works well for you. And like I said, test it out, tweak it if you need to. And if you absolutely need to, just scrap it. But you will find what works well and what doesn't. And then you can begin to just create some more organization and flexibility throughout your day because you're not going to feel so scattered. You're going to have that default routine to help you stay on track. So if you have not taken time to leave a rating and review for the show yet, I would greatly appreciate it. Every 5-star review helps a ton and it helps the algorithms push it out to more people that are looking for a podcast like this. So I am very grateful. And if it's a written review, I love reading those. I read every one of them. And I am just so grateful for everybody that takes the time to leave a rating and review. And you can also make sure that if you are looking at our podcast on any podcast app that you prefer, to make sure you're following or subscribing because then you're going to get notified when a new episode drops every Monday and Thursday. If you didn't know, that is the schedule that we have is Mondays and Thursdays. You get a new episode twice a week. And by following or subscribing, you actually get the notice that we have a new episode that has dropped. So then you don't have to go and search for it. So hopefully that will help. And I will catch you on the next episode. If you have been dreaming of finding the perfect paper planner, look no further. My favorite paper planner is the Dream Planner by Horatio Printing. They have nice thick pages, so there is no bleed through. There are simple, clean lines, so you can keep it super minimal if that's your style, or you have the space to get really creative if you like doing decorations or washi tape or stickers and all the things. There is enough structure to keep you organized without it being overwhelming. And there are even pages to plan your annual goals and dream, and even do a check in each quarter. There are plenty of pages in the back, and this is where I like to track our marriage goals, my cycle, podcast progress throughout the year to keep this podcast going, my annual task list, and even habits that align with my goals. My favorite version is their black leather lay flat version, but you can also get other colors or even the spiral bound version if you are a spiral kind of girl. So I use my Google Calendar for my schedule, but if you have been listening to the podcast long, you know that I use my paper planner to plan out my upcoming week every Friday morning during my morning routine. This is a time that I can see my day stacks, I can plug in my priority tasks for the week and update my habit trackers to see if I am on pace to reach my goals. It is one of my favorite times of the week and I love my paper planner. It's the only one that I've been able to stay consistently using throughout the entire year, and I love it. So once they sell out, they are gone for good. So you're going to want to grab yours quickly before they are gone if you want one for 2025. You can go to horatioprinting.com. That's HORACIO printing.com and use code Renae15 for 15% off your entire order. That's RENAE15 to get 15% off. You are not going to be sorry, and you will have so much fun planning the year ahead.